several years ago, like maybe 150 years ago, when I was a youth pastor, there was a group of us youth pastors that used to gather together to pray. And we would, in the local pastors, different denominations, so forth, and we would pray for our own youth group. We would pray for our country, our community, and then we would take time to pray for one another. And those were incredibly important prayer times. We'd meet once a month, and those were just really powerful times. One of those times in particular, they had just finished praying for me. And one of the youth pastors, a Lutheran youth pastor, said, "Dan, I have this picture, and it's you, and I want to share it. It's really strong." And so he shared with the group this picture that he had of me sitting on the lap of Jesus, with my head on his chest, hearing his heartbeat, and then speaking it out to people around. And, I've come to believe over the years that really is where he wants all of us. He wants us to be on his lap, intimacy, close to him. He wants us to hear his heart. And then he wants us to speak that heart to a world that desperately needs to hear the heart of God. Over the years, I've had a number of times where, how there are words that you receive that are important. They're all important, but there are words that just mark your life. And they're just, they are so significant, they're turning point. And that word has come back over and over again. And I look back, it probably is one of the most defining moments in my entire life. Over the years, I've had times where I could actually hear a heartbeat in my ear. I've had many times where I could hear a heartbeat in my ear. And every time that's happened, it always had to do with broken lives, broken people, and the heart of God. And so they are not necessarily exciting times. It sounds how exciting to hear a little bit of God's heart. And that is, of course, true. It's exciting that he would allow us to do that. But these times have always been connected with heartbreaking situations. And over these last number of weeks, I've heard this repeatedly. In fact, it's been a lot, and I've gotten where it's like almost afraid to turn the news on. It's because it isn't just hearing a heartbeat. It really is. It sometimes hits so deep that you just want to sit there and start crying, because it's not what you're watching or seeing is painful in and of itself. But then when you begin to sense that God's heart for that situation, it can become even more painful. And so I've kind of, I've not wanted to listen a lot to the news, but a number of weeks ago when the shooting took place in Orlando at the nightclub, that I heard that heartbeat. Not long ago when the young man was killed in Minneapolis, and again, there was that heartbeat. The police officers in Dallas and then in Baton Rouge, hear that heartbeat. Nice, what just happened in Nice, France, Munich, Germany, that heartbeat. God's heart is broken over a broken world. God's heart is broken over a broken nation. And I believe that God has put us in a special place that we need to be aware of. One of the things that's come out of all of this for me is a lot of repentance. Now, I want to define repentance, because some of us, you hear the word and it just kind of like everything inside of you wants to recoil, because it's like it's been used so negatively, when it really is an incredibly positive word. Repentance is basically God saying, you're headed the wrong direction. Here's the way out. I mean, we're always looking for a hope, looking for a way out, and repentance basically says, here it is. You know, you don't have to stay there. You can get out of this here. The door's wide open. And it really means to see that you're headed in the wrong direction and turn around and go the other way. That's extremely positive. And though we've made it a very negative word, and the minute someone hears that word, you just but really it's the key to freedom. It's the key to freedom in every area. And so